Okay, Chair, we're live streaming, so you'll be able to start at 10:30.
Okay. There we go. It is now 10:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order on June the 7th at 10:30 a.m. This is our planning committee. And the first thing I'm going to do is recognize that we're meeting on the traditional territory of the Tla'amin people. And the next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Moved by Clay, seconded by Sandy. Are there any changes? I see none. All in favor? Any opposed? None carried. Item number 3, adoption of the minutes. Is there a mover? Sure, I'll move it. Clay and Sandy. You seconded, right, Sandy?
I wasn't at that meeting, so I don't know that that's appropriate that I seconded, but if it is, I'll second it.
Okay, moved by Clay, seconded by Sandy. Any errors or omissions? None, that's carried.
Oh, let's vote on it.
Oh yeah, sorry. All in favor? None opposed, that's carried. Delegations and inquiries, number 4. This is the opportunity for members of the public, if they wish to speak as an unregistered delegation, they may do so at this time. Seeing none, moving on to unfinished business, we have none. Number 6, correspondence, we have no correspondence. 7, business arising from correspondence, we have none of that either. Moving on to reports. 8.1, subdivision application, district lot 1499, 7909, Highway 101, and 7917, Highway 101, Electoral Area B. We have a recommendation from staff.
Move the recommendation, Chair.
Moved by Director Brander, seconded by McCormick. Is there any discussion on this item? Well, I have one real quick question. Read the report. This appears to just be redrawing a line on the property, because otherwise it looks like it almost goes right through the deck.
It touches the deck.
Touches the deck. Okay, that's my questions. Any other discussion from any other directors? None. I'm going to call the vote. All in favor? And I see none opposed. That is carried. Okay, item 8.2. Do we have a mover for the recommendation?
Move the recommendation.
Moved by Director Brander, seconded by Director McCormick. And that's the first one, because there's multiple. Okay. Is there any discussion on the first motion? Director Doubt.
I just had a question that came up after reading the reports. And I don't see any particular detailed drawing or anything in the package I've got that shows exactly what the plan is or how much space is going to be taken up anywhere by these communication sites. Are they going to have like a 10 by 10 building and a 300-foot tower, or a 3 foot by 3 foot pilaster and some buried fiber optic cable? And do we have any kind of a drawing of how much space these are going to take up, or any details for the different areas?
That's a very good question. I had a little bit of a concern myself, because I'm wondering, is it, when all is said and done, just going to be buried cables, or is there going to be above ground infrastructure? So I'm going to turn it over to our Manager of Planning Services, Laura Rodden. Do you have an answer for that?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I can answer that. We have been provided some photographs with photoshopped images of the line and the box that would contain the infrastructure for hookup. And Julia has the photos ready, if she could share her screen.
Okay. So it appears that when all is said and done, it'll just be a little vault box, kind of like a water shutoff kind of thing. Are there any other questions from the director? Chair recognizes Director Dow.
So having that information and the fact that it looks like about a 1 meter square space or 2 by 24 FOC, I think that's the fiber optic cable. It looks like about a 1 meter square buried communication box, basically. And my question was how much that it would interfere with beach access trail.
Chair recognizes Manager of Planning Services, Laura Rodden.
Thank you, Chair. In staff's analysis of the application and the images that have been provided, we want to note that this application is about installing the fiber optic infrastructure only. And in the future, should a local service provider choose to supply internet service in an area, there would be further development required to pull or connect the fiber optic cable in the vault further up the right of way and throughout the neighborhood or the community. And so that could be below ground, it could be below ground wires, or it could be above ground wires on poles. So there would be, while this application deals only with this step, in the future, there is the potential for further development and impact on the natural environment that is enjoyed by the public at these beach access sites.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Director Dow?
That's the answer.
Okay.
I heard the answer. I don't have a vote on the committee, but I was very curious about those details.
That's okay. Well, you are a director, so your input is always appreciated. Chair recognizes Director Brander.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I had some of the same questions I was going to bring up in the next motion, but since we're on the topic, I was wondering if the planning department had any plans to work with City West to potentially relocate them slightly so that they won't interfere with the beach access points. But it seems like these are the obviously places that have been identified as optimum or at least beneficial. So I wonder if they have any plans.
Chair recognizes
Ms. Rodden.
Ms. Rodden. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Staff have been in regular contact with staff from City West and subcontractors. And the line in Venanda was originally chosen to be in the Erickson Beach site, and staff were able to work with them to find the alternate location near the dock. So there wasn't an impact on that important natural park area. And so of course we will continue to do that. And I will just note that in the letter that the board sent back in February 2021, that is in Appendix 8 of this report, page 11 of 14, the third paragraph does state that we look forward to assisting you in every way possible to complete viable plans and arrangements as required for construction permitting and 10-year agreements. So I think it's clearly stated in that letter, and staff will continue to work to find alternate locations that don't conflict with public access to the waterway.
Perfect. Thanks, Chair.
I have a question. What is the relative timeline are we looking at for, installation of this infrastructure? Because if this is impacting beach accesses, are we talking about a couple of weeks or a couple of months? And do they have a preference for which time of the year? And I'm sure it's all based on, what DFO allows and a whole bunch of other things. So I'm just curious about timeline. Oh, Chair recognizes Ms. Rodden.
Yeah, I will defer to Julia Dykstra, as she's been more hands-on with this application review.
Thank you, Laura. The date of installation is estimated by the applicant as 3 days for installation. That doesn't include the trench digging of the beach or the laying of the line. And they have stated that the timeline for all of these proposed sites is over a 3-year span pending permitting processing.
Okay. So as I understand it, it could take about 3 days to install it, but it could be installed at any point over a 3-year period. Okay. Thank you. Is there any other questions or discussion from directors? Seeing none, I'm going to call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay, now 8.2 part 2. Do we have a mover? Moved by Director Brander, seconded by Director McCormick. Is there any discussion on this? Oh, Director McCormick, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. I also met with City West staff, and we discussed a number of different locations, both for Venanda and Gillies Bay. And it seemed like the wharf in Venanda was a much better location than Erickson's Beach, because it's owned by the regional district. It's not a beach access point, and I believe that it will work quite well at that location. So I'm very happy to support the recommendation.
Wonderful. Seeing no other hands up for discussion, I'm going to call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? None. That's carried. And item number 3. Moved by Director Brander, seconded by Director McCormick. Okay, open the floor for discussion amongst directors. Seeing no discussion amongst directors, I'm going to jump in on this one. Because I see 2 of the sites, Site 3 and Site 4, are in Area B. And I know parts of Area B have good fiber from TELUS, but of course, I know some folks might be interested in getting it on Connected Coast. So I guess my question for staff is, and I think it's already been answered, I hope staff are going to continue to work with Connected Coast to try and find some alternative sites in Area B that might be viable. And I'm seeing a nod from Ms. Rodden, so I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So yeah, if this motion passes, it doesn't mean that nothing's happening. It just means these sites aren't ideal based on our OCP. Okay, with no other discussion, I'm going to call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? None. That's carried. That brings us to new business. There is none. Question period. This is where the members of the public or the press online can ask questions about what just happened.
Since it would be weird to come and not say anything, I just want to thank the council for their time and for quickly approving this without questions. So,
well, this is our the first step. The final approval then goes before our board, and then of course it goes off to Ministry of Transportation for drawing lines, and then that's where they do the approval. So it's a long and arduous process, but this is the first step.
A good start.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Director McCormick.
Yeah, it's Ministry of Forests, not Transportation.
Oh, Ministry of Forests. Are they doing subdivisions now?
No.
No. Yeah, my understanding is Ministry of Transportation does the final property line adjustments.
Maybe staff.
Oh. And with no other questions, that brings us to adjournment. And we have no in-camera session. And number 12 is adjournment. So we are adjourned. Thank you for coming.